Selfish to the core, to function sanely and intelligently, by Yuji Krishnamurti. Hello everyone, this is author PB Flower. My published series, All Call None, is a young adult sci-fi romantic fantasy novel with undertones of metaphysical philosophies and Upanishad. It is available on Amazon worldwide. It has 5 parallel stories that are tied together by life force but separated due to time and space. Now, I am taking on a rather difficult, or the simplest, subject today: gender identity. Yuji Krishnamurti had said, selfish to the core, to function sanely and intelligently. Now, it has been taken from what he had said about anyone has to be selfish to the core to function sanely and intelligently in the society that we live in, is what it meant. Yesterday, I was watching this Indian movie on Netflix. Its name is Chandigarh Kare Aashiqui. This movie was suggested to me by my uncle. He watched it and he wanted me to watch it too because it's a groundbreaking movie actually. And it took on a rather strong subject of transgender man that stands up to herself. Even when the man that fell in love with her thinking she was a born woman, or not thinking at all, condemned her when she came out. And it got me thinking. I have theorization on how this happens in my series All Call None, related to memory collusion, and I have discussed this in another podcast. But anyway, it is a little complex, my explanation, memory wise, so I'm going to simplify it here by taking something from Upanishads. Now, the way I explained it, it's like a maze of memories that causes this in us, because in the end, surviving in the wild has no bearing on your gender, because gender is not natural. Nature will treat you the same, but of course you cannot reproduce unless you embrace the duality and reclaim your original biological identity. Now, I'm going to tackle this gender identity with by first explaining Shiva and Shakti, or in layman terms, male and female percentage in everyone. And mind it has nothing to do with sex or biological identity at this point. We will move on to it slowly. Gender is purely an idea dictated by social stigmas. It's an action or behavior probably that always matches with physical attributes. For some, maybe the behavior response won't match the way it's expected from a body's physical form. Consequently, it's like a glitch. Now, Shiva was Ardhanarishvara. It is the most unique form that Shiva took to make Parvati or Shakti experience him from within. Basically, it was manifestation of masculine and feminine qualities within oneself. And when Shiva included Shakti, he was balanced. This division or assimilation of Shiva and Shakti was at an equilibrium. That is exactly how our human body is. Both men and women are within us. We are on a highly or slightly different frequencies depending on this distribution. And when the inner masculine and feminine essences are in balance, we are in a perpetual state of bliss. But in some, it is highly imbalanced. It is nothing but randomness. And that balance is satiated by meeting another one that would fit like a puzzle piece. It is finding the right fit, making up for what you lack, neutralizing your physicality. And that is perhaps what we call as soulmate. I don't know. I don't believe in the concept of soul. So watch my Life Force podcast to see what I believe in. But I do believe we have both man and women in us. Even science-wise, those hormones exist in us, a ratio of which makes us behave in a certain way, look in a certain way. Now that we know how the body is aligned, let's answer the question, why some of us seek a change from the identity other than our biological one. Probably due to imbalance inside us, imbalance of the male and female hormones in us. Now, male represents non-existent and female wants to exist. That is what Shiva and Shakti are. Shiva is destruction and Shakti is desire. Now, destruction doesn't mean end of existence, but it means end or fulfilling of desires. That's why males cannot physically and biologically give birth, but they can fulfill the desire to procreate. And it can be interpreted as Shiva is the creation and Shakti as the nature. So creator is always bountiful. Nature is its manifestation. But nature is also cruel, rooted, random, changing, surviving, and forgiving. And so this feminine essence in us is exactly what I just said. Cruel, rooted, random, changing, surviving, and forgiving. That is the force in us. The force for change, force for movement, force that keeps us going, the force to survive. Now this creation is masculine essence in our bodies. Qualities like acceptance, repulsion, serenity, anger, impartial, vagrant, easily pleased, harmony and diversity, forgiving. Now science has given biological identity to all these qualities that I just said, and gender is a societal concept. Science has given other names to these qualities, the masculine and feminine. It explains how it is hormone driven, the release of hormones in us. But what dictates this release of hormone? What does? It is the distribution of masculine and feminine traits in us, inherent ones. Now society has turned it around. It has come up with this gender concept, branding women as timid, fragile, forgiving, empaths, and early on it was someone who would take care of everyone, stay at home, bind the family together, give birth. But that is not what all a female in the wild stands for. A female in the wild is more vicious than males because she has to protect herself from everything, not just hunt, but also give birth and raise a child, teach the child how to survive in the wild. All the while they surviving themselves. So a female in the wild is not burdened with emotions when their child is incapable of surviving in the wild. They will themselves abandon or kill them because it is bound to happen anyway, sooner or later. No one will live forever, but our society has changed that. Humans are about future projection. A standard is set to be followed by society, dictating and delivering the gender concept. Because we have these impositions, we have come up with means to change sex to feel and behave like the gender expectations. We are again conforming to fit in when we feel otherwise by going through the painful procedure of sex change, taking hormonal pills every day so that we look the part we so convincingly feel. We have the means by science, but still no control over how others feel or think of our choices. Let's look up on the internet in case you are more driven by your knowledge. So when I looked up, it says that sex depends on the anatomy. Okay, that is what is gift of science. Science tells us that. Scientists have separated us by understanding the body types, understanding the sex, natural and organic. Gender depends on the society or culture. It is roles, expectations, and perceptions around the sexual identity, artificial and imposed. Male and female are sex categories. Masculine and feminine are gender categories. due to imbalances, or let's not even call that, let's say the distribution of masculine and feminine essence in us, we have now, I suppose, about 76 genders. Why has this difference in masculine and feminine quality come to be at a point where we feel the need to change our sex, is the question. Now, the movie that I saw yesterday was about that. Not just the expression of what you feel from inside, but it has also looked into the need to be it. Whatever you're feeling on the inside, you want to be it, you want to look it. That is breaking social norms and exploiting science to your benefit. Society is only beginning to understand various moods or distribution of masculine and feminine in each one of us. Science has already mastered that separation immaculately. When breaking social norms, you are branded selfish because you are accepted. Your focus is on yourself, not the outside. Whatever you are feeling or going through due to societal imposition has more meaning to you. And by that measure, why give a shit about acceptance, even by family members or friends? The step you took to change your sex was self-centered. You mustered the courage to stand your ground. Then why not stand alone? Look after your need and existence all the way through. Because that is what others are doing. That is what society is doing, being selfish, telling you otherwise, judging you by their measure and norms. Be selfish to the core, like Yuji said. Selfishness cannot have half measure or be half-assed. If you go full-blown selfish, you can't be flip-flopping, crying for acceptance and still doing what you want to do. So why do we do that? Why do we be selfish and then turn around to be accepted? Because we are all looking for like-minded bunch. We want validation of society. And we know that everything can be bribed aside from the nature. Everything can be forgiven if it is artificial. Nature, however, is impartial and uncaring. It would not be concerned for your gender proclivities. It will treat you the same, rain or shine. Nature is all accepting and unforgiving at the same time. But society poses as forgiving, but is unacceptable to anything other than the normal that they have set. The fundamental laws of nature are considered to be axiomatic, meaning unquestionable, and so many consider they can't be explained, proven, or questioned. Yuji was one such person. He discouraged spending time in understanding creation. However, everything may and should be questioned, reasoned, explained, and possibly proven. The miracles are until they are comprehended and understood. Science is such a concept that pushes you to do just that. Question, reason, explain, prove. And so we humans are always working on demystifying everything around us by separating it from ourselves, be it our feelings or anything that we experience with our five senses. Society and religion are always the last to catch up. Religion perhaps would never change because it is a concept again by messiahs standing between you and God. God's word translated, manipulated, documented, and set in stone by recorders, imposed by second-hand messiahs, the followers. In a nutshell, this law of nature at individual level is easier to follow, which is live and let live, no matter the distribution of masculine and feminine essence in us. I will end with a quote by me. It is also in my book, I think the third book of the trilogy, All Call None. Anything in this creation is worthy of everything from this creation by PB Flower.